Time for my Week 12 picks of the 2024 NFL season. As last week, I went 13-1. If it wasn't for the Seahawks making a comeback against the 49ers at the last second, I would have gone 14-0. It's just like that one week in 2019 where I went 14-1, all because the Bears couldn't get a comeback field goal on the Chargers to win. Oh my god, again, had another chance to go undefeated and was taken away from me on a last second play. Unbelievable. But that was the best result I had in a long time. And of course, here's the regular season standings and the playoff standings at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Chiefs with the bye, with Broncos at Bills, Ravens at Steelers, and Chargers at Texans. And the NFC, it's Lions with the bye, with Commanders at Eagles. And my Super Bowl prediction is the Lions over the Bills. Alright, so now let's get to my Week 12 picks, starting off with Thursday night, as it's an AFC North battle, as it's the Steelers at the Browns. The Browns won the last one. The Steelers haven't beaten them since 2022, and they haven't won in Cleveland since 2021, as the Steelers are trying to get their 5th straight winning season, I think, and the Browns are trying to avoid their first losing season since 2022. So the Steelers, hard-fought, awesome game against the Ravens, suck it Barry McCockner, and the Browns got spanked by the Saints, as they're on the verge of being eliminated from winning the division if they lose the Steelers right here. Now, I am going to pick the Steelers, but like I said before with the Ravens when they played the Browns also have this thing the last few years where they do challenge the Steelers pretty well even when they're struggling. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns put up a good game or even beat them like I did with the Ravens. So I wouldn't be surprised they get, but I am going to pick the Steelers still. Alright, then we get to the Sunday games with the 1 p.m. games, starting off with the Chiefs at the Panthers for the first time since 2016. As the Chiefs won the last 3, the Panthers haven't beaten them since 2008. As the Chiefs finally had their first loss of the season to the Bills, about time. Mahomes played good except those 2 interceptions. Meanwhile, the Panthers coming off their bye after they beat the Giants in Germany. They have a better record. Young has played better, but still not really good enough. But now, of course, you're going to have to play one of the best teams in the league with your horrible offense and defense. Yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs for this one, even their not good year this year. And then it's the Vikings at the Bears, as the Bears won the last one. The Vikings haven't beaten them since 2023, and the Bears haven't won at home against them since 2019, as the Vikings try to get their first win season since 2022. So, as still Donald's playing good. Meanwhile, the Bears blew it against the Packers at the end. They had a chance to get it done, but they couldn't get it done as Caleb Williams was just a game manager. They've now lost 4 in a row, and nothing's looking right for them whatsoever. Oh boy, that was a tough loss for them to take. Oh boy, this is actually kind of a tough one for me to pick too. I think I might take a bold pick, and I think I'll still pick the Bears for this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings get it. Alright, then it's the Titans at the Texans, as the Texans won the last 3. The Titans haven't beaten them since 2022, as the Titans try to avoid their 3rd straight losing season. So the Titans, of course, lost to the Vikings like I last said. Hard-fought game, but they couldn't get the job done in the end. Meanwhile, the Texans, they destroyed the Cowboys, but that was more of the Cowboys imploded, as Texans have not played good these last several weeks. They were 5-1 earlier in the year. Now they've gone 2-3 since, and Stroud has not played good. He did not play good at all against the Cowboys. Like I said, it was more of the Cowboys imploding than the Texans doing very good and all that. They're not looking very good whatsoever right now, but I'm still going to pick them to get the win. And then it's the Lions at the Colts for the first time since 2016. As the Colts won the last one, the Lions haven't beaten them since 2016, and the Colts haven't won at home against them since 2008. As the Lions, of course, destroyed the Jaguars. Of course, no one's surprised about that, as they now have tied the Chiefs for the best record in the league, have one of the best offenses, although their defense is still a little weak in comparison with their stats. The Colts, meanwhile, had a come-from-behind victory against the Jets, and Richardson finally back. He finally had a good game again. Let's go. About time. As the Colts are trying to get to a 500 record once again. I'm going to pick the Lions for this one, but don't underestimate the Colts. They play tough against tough opponents. Anything can happen. And then it's the Patriots at the Dolphins. as the Dolphins won the last 3. The Patriots haven't beaten them since 2022, and they haven't won in Miami since 2019, as the Patriots try to avoid their 3rd straight losing season, and the Dolphins are trying to avoid a worse season than last year. So the Patriots actually had a hard-fought game against the Rams, but couldn't get it done again, as Drake May once again played good, and the Dolphins beat... Freaking hell, it won't come to my head now. Oh yeah, the Raiders, there we go. As Tua played good, as the Dolphins are starting to try to recover with their pretty good defense that's not being represented very well. Very important game right here, as the Patriots need to win to try and keep up against the Bills. In fact, since the Bills are 9-2, I think, yeah, if the Patriots lose, they can't win the division anymore. So yeah, they really need to get this win if they want to keep alive in the division race. But I'm going to pick the Dolphins for this one. And as the Buccaneers at the Giants, for the first time since 2020, as the Buccaneers won the last 2, the Giants haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won at home against them since 2018, as they try to avoid their 2nd straight losing season. So the Buccaneers are off their bye after they lost a close one again to the 49ers, as they just can't get the job done. They've now lost 4 in a row, but they're still hanging in there. They're not a bad team. They're just getting unlucky a lot of the times. Meanwhile, the Giants got, who they lost to again? It won't... Oh, that's right. They're on their bye week after they lost to the Panthers. That's right. I think that's what it was. So, of course, tough loss. They've now lost 5 in a row now. My goodness, they've lost a lot in a row. And just not looking good. And Daniel Jones just got benched, as they're now starting DeVito. And yeah, nothing's going their way. I am going to pick the Buccaneers for this one. Alright, then it's the Cowboys at the Commanders, as the Cowboys have won the last 2. The Commanders haven't beaten them since 2022. So the Cowboys got obliterated by the Texans, as they are barely holding on for dear life now. They lost 3 in a row, as they have like one of the worst offenses in the league, and their defense is crap. Meanwhile, the Commanders lost to the Eagles, as they now lost 2 in a row, and they pretty much probably lost their chance of winning the division, but they still are alive for a wild card spot now. Not looking good for them, but the Cowboys in such terrible shape, I'm going to pick the Commanders for this one. Alright, then the 4 p.m. games, as it starts off with the Broncos at the Raiders, as the Broncos won the last one. The Raiders haven't beaten them since 2023, and the Broncos haven't won on the road against Broncos. Completely obliterated the Falcons, as Bo Nix had an incredible game. Like, he's so inconsistent. As the Raiders, of course, lost to the Dolphins. They've now lost 6 in a row. They have like one of the longest losing streaks in the league, as they're on the verge of having a 3rd straight losing season, and but being eliminated from getting the AFC West title now if they lose. So they really need this win badly if they want to stay in the playoff race. Now, like I said, the Broncos haven't beaten the Raiders on the road in almost 10 years, and the Raiders do play tough against them when they host them. But I'm going to take a bold pick, and I'm going to pick the Broncos for this one, but I won't be surprised if the Raiders get it. Then it's a big NFC matchup, as it's the 49ers at the Packers for the first time since 2018. As the Packers won the last 2, the 49ers haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won in the Lambeau since 2012. As the 49ers, they've already matched their loss total from last year, trying to avoid a worse record last year, after they lost to the Seahawks in a comeback victory. I don't know how they allowed that. Meanwhile, the Packers barely beat the Bears, as, again, they're 7-3, but they're not impressed with this year. Like, all the... In fact, it showed up so little that I'm actually going to take a gamble and pick the 49ers to get this one. Because I don't have much faith in the Packers right now. They have not been playing good this year, even though the record-wise, they have been playing well. And then it's a big one in the NFC West, as it's the Cardinals at the Seahawks. As the Seahawks won the last 5, the Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2021. As the Cardinals came off their bye after they obliterated the Jets 2 weeks ago to get to 6-4. They've won 4 in a row, and honestly are being kind of not looked at as maybe a potential playoff team. No one's like really taking them seriously. Meanwhile, the Seahawks got a huge win against the 49ers at the end. They needed that victory, as now they're still within the playoff race, and of course still can win the NFC North. And if they win and the 49ers and Rams lose, they'll take the lead in the NFC West once again. So they really need this win. But now, of course, with that win, this complicates things. Oh, boy. Who do you trust more? I might be taking another bold pick, but I'm actually going to pick the Cardinals for this one. I trust them more right now than I do the Seahawks, but hey, I still think the Seahawks can get it. Alright, then it's Sunday night as a huge NFC matchup, as it's the Eagles at the Rams for the second year in a row. As the Eagles won the last one, the Rams haven't beaten them since 2020, the Rams haven't won at home against the Eagles since 2004, as the Eagles try to get their fourth straight win in season. So, the Eagles spanked the Commanders last week. Jalen Hurts has played really well the last several weeks, as the Eagles have now won 6 in a row and are trying to keep up with the Lions to get that number 1 seed. Meanwhile, the Rams, again, very good game. Stafford put up 4 touchdowns as he's being inconsistent now, as they're now 5-5, trying to get over 500 for the first time this year, as they're going to have a tough task ahead of them. That's going to be tough. I'm going to pick the Eagles again, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams get it, because if I remember correctly, I think their game last year was down to the wire too. Alright, then it's Monday night. A huge Monday night matchup in LA once again for 2 nights in a row, as it's a huge matchup in the AFC North. Hardball Bowl number 3, as it's the Ravens at the Chargers for the second year in a row. The Ravens won the last 4. The Chargers haven't beaten them since 2014, and haven't beaten the Ravens at home since 2011. So the Ravens are trying to avoid a worse record than last year, after they lost to the Steelers. And of course, classic matchup, suck at Barry McCockner. And of course, I'm not surprised the Steelers got that. So the Ravens kind of in a little bit of a bad spot right now at 7-4. They really need to get a win right here to save their season at the moment. Meanwhile, the Chargers have now won 4 in a row after they at first were destroying the Bengals, as Herbert played very good, but then he played like crap until like the last drive of the game, and the Bengals almost made the comeback to get the win, so a little bit spooky right there for the Chargers. And also, oh my god, the Ravens and Chargers here have completely flipped. The Ravens are all offense, no defense. Chargers are all defense, and their offense is kind of mid if you look at their stats. This is not the Ravens and Chargers I'm supposed to be seeing. So yeah, interesting matchup. So who would I pick here? Oh boy, this is a tough one. Oh boy. And honestly, I definitely probably wouldn't pick this at the beginning of the year, and I might be taking another bold pick. But with their elite defense, because I do love my defenses, I'm actually going to pick the Chargers for this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens get it. Alright, so those are my picks for Week 12. I cannot wait for Steelers at Browns tonight. So my picks are the Steelers over the Browns, the Chiefs over the Panthers, the Bears over the Vikings, the Texans over the Titans, the Lions over the Colts, the Dolphins over the Patriots, the Buccaneers over the Giants, the Commanders over the Cowboys, the Broncos over the Raiders, the 49ers over the Cardinals, the 49ers over the Packers, the Cardinals over the Seahawks, Eagles over the Rams, and Ravens over the Chargers. Alright, so that wraps up here, and of course next week is Thanksgiving, so my next week's picks will be on Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving, so tune in next Wednesday for my picks. So see you all for my Week 13 picks.